Okay, good morning. This is day number 4 for calendar. And it is July 9th, 2015. Did we have any thunder showers yesterday? Did it rain here at all? It did?
It did.
Oh,
yeah, just a couple of drops.
okay, a little sprinkle. Okay, well, we had a great interview with Carmines, New York City at the Forum Shops. And then I had another good interview, Keith, with Chicago Joe's and Thomas with Chicago Joe's. And then today I have one at 2 o'clock with Il Molino, which is a top world top restaurant like Carmine's. They have, I think, 9 restaurants around the world. They have one in Puerto Rico, 2 or 3 in New York City, Atlantic City.
Was their food good? Carmine?
Yeah, it was great. It was really first-class food. So Carmine's has 152 employees.
Is this one in?
Yeah, this one here. 53 of them work in the kitchen because all food is made to order. So you order spaghetti. They don't have pre-made spaghetti sitting in water that they heat. This is, they drop the spaghetti and do everything. So it's a real first-class operation. And Il Molino is even nicer. Yeah.
When you do these interviews.
Sometimes. Yeah, yesterday they had appetizers, their appetizer plate, and and the interesting thing about Carmine's, sort of like Pizza Rock, is a different type of pizza parlor. Carmine's is a different type of restaurant. Pizza Rock, when we go to a pizza parlor, what do we think in terms of? What kind of pizza do you want? You want vegetarian, you want sausage, you want pepperoni, you want cheese, you want vegetarian, you want thin crust or thin crust, right? Thick or thin crust, right? That's how we think of pizza. Pizza Rock is not like that.
So you could see me and I could talk now.
Napolitano pizza, do you want Roman pizza, do you want Chicago pizza, do you want New York pizza? And those pizzas are different flour, different tomatoes, different tomato sauce, different oven, different temperature in the oven, different cooking time. You don't go in and say, I want a Chicago pizza with this on it. It's, I want a Chicago pizza, or I want a Roman pizza, or I want a pizza from Napoli. So it's a different type of pizza parlor. Carmine's is a different type of restaurant. It is family style, which means when you walk in and the waiter comes over and you say, we want spaghetti, they don't say, okay, well, what would you like? What would you like? What would you like? You're ordering for the whole table. And when they bring it out, it's in a plate or bowl, depending upon what it is, and they serve you from that. It's not really family style of pass the potatoes and you scoop it out. They'll do that, but it's not a thing of you order what you want. So all of their orders are huge because they're not for one person. They're for like 4 people. So if you order spaghetti, it's for 4 people. So it's a different type of restaurant. And it took me a while in the interview to get that when the waiter's at the table asking for the order, they're not asking you and you and you and you and you what you want. They're asking, what does this table want to eat? And they don't have a menu. They don't hand you a menu. Their menus are on big screen TVs all around the restaurant, and the waiters walk you through, well, what do you feel like having? So they customize a family meal for you. But it doesn't really work if there's less than 4 people, because either you're going to take home food for 6, okay, or you're going to eat one thing. But, so it was a great experience. And today it's at Il Molino, which is looking at their menu without alcohol. If you want an appetizer, salad, entree, dessert, maybe not including dessert, but you just want those things, at least $100. You're not going to get out per person. So at least that. So that's the kind of restaurant that Il Molino is. So that's the kind that you go for very special occasions. Yes.
What did Carmines say about hiring?
They said we're very interested. And what they want is people that are passionate.
So when
People.
you pay for us,
No. What we want them to do is we want you to prepare your thing, and we want them to have their HR person come here and get them to see what the school's all about. Because what we found in the past, when people have good intentions, they want a job, they think in terms of, I got to get me a job, and everybody needs to take care of themselves. And if the first person does a lousy job,
they're not gonna be involved.
their expectation is that this school isn't really that good because the first person jumped in before they were prepared, which is why last week, the exercise was get your resumes done, because when they come here, we want them to be impressed and prepared. And I would tell you that starting at Carmines in any position is good. The general manager of Carmines is 37. He started in the restaurant business 15 years ago in Scottsdale as a busser, cleaning tables. And he worked his way up. And, he is the general manager of the largest Italian restaurant in Las Vegas, in the Forum Shops, on the Strip, that's part of a huge restaurant organization. That's who he is. And so, starting at the bottom is okay. Anyway, so that's the stuff for today. That's where we are. And but they want people who are passionate, because they want their customers, their guests, to have a very good, enjoyable time, because they want them to what? Come back. They want them to come back. And one bad employee could ruin the whole experience. So, what does that have to do with calendars? What does my interviews at Carmines or Chicago Joe's have to do with calendars, what we're working on today in this class right now? Performance? Appointments. So what does that have to do with the calendar?
Setting up different.
Time management, right? Controlling time. If I wasn't able to be good at scheduling things, maybe I would have only gone to one appointment yesterday. Or maybe worse, the appointments would have been too close together, so I either would have rushed one or been late for the other one. So these are the important things about calendars, is it enables you to be more productive. Today I have two things, Fiore at 11 o'clock, 11:30, and then at 2 o'clock, Il Molino. Oh, and then yesterday, in between all this, what happened is Luigi's Cleaners called, an advertiser in Ciao Tutti. They called saying something, and I said, okay, well, let's get this worked out. I'll be at your place and because I had a calendar, I could give him a time that I would be there, and it didn't screw up my day or Sherry's day or anybody else's day. And all of that is possible because of calendars. And it gets to be very good when you have it synced in with your smartphone, because the new Android apps are able to take into consideration traffic if you need to get to a place. And so they'll tell you need to leave now, or you need to leave within 10 minutes if you want to be there on time. Okay, and it's just going to keep getting better. But what do you have to do? Yeah, you have to use it. Okay, if you don't put a thing on your calendar,
For transportation and bus, if, say for instance, like with us, we have to take the bus wherever we're going. We have to look and see which bus is going to this location. And
Okay.
you have to take a
Well,
message.
here's the good news. On Google Maps Android, you pick not only where are you going, it says, well, are you starting from your current location? It asks you where are you starting from. Current location. And then it gives you a choice of are you going to walk, bicycle, drive, or bus. And it will tell you
Approximately how long it will take you to go.
by each of those. If you want to go by bus, and I don't go by bus, so I don't know, but my hunch is if it doesn't do it today, within the next 12 months, the bus schedules and the bus, if the buses are late, will be taken into account, just like traffic is right now. Because now all traffic, if there's a wreck, you see it on your Google Maps, on your phone. So, but the key thing is we have to use the calendar. If we don't use the calendar, what happens?
You could forget an appointment.
You don't get the benefit of this technology. Okay, it doesn't tell you you need to leave now because it doesn't know where you're going. Okay, so again, this comes back to, and I think the main takeaway for the week is develop the habit of using your calendar every day. So Robert was, I don't know if intentionally sneaky or clever this morning when we came in, but Robert made the point of asking me about the TED Talk this morning before we started. Okay, and then what did that say to me? If he asked me a question about a TED Talk before I even have that computer open, what does that tell me?
He's trying to find something else that he needs to have.
Well, it tells me he's looked at his calendar, right? Because how would he know about Dan Dennett? Because I don't think he remembered it from yesterday. Okay, so he went to his calendar first thing, and then, as a good employee would do, would ask a good question of their boss, and the boss's brain, they answer the question, but they're thinking, okay, good, this guy's on top of it. He's already looking at his calendar. He already sees what's going on, and he's asking me a question about this thing that's happening. As opposed to a not good employee would say, what?
What are we doing today?
Yeah, what are we doing at 8 o'clock this morning? Okay, and the answer would be what? Well, look at your calendar, or the same thing we do every morning at 8 o'clock, unless it's Friday. So, the big takeaway for the week is use your calendar. And so the first thing we should do right now is let's make sure that in Google Chrome, we have it configured so when we launch Chrome, a calendar pops up. How do we do that? Joe, do you know how we do that? Is anybody
sorry.
in California? How do we have it so when we launch Chrome, what do we need to do so that when we launch Chrome, the calendar pops up?
What you need to do is have go to your settings and on startup.
Settings in what? On my calendar?
In Chrome.
Okay, so how do I do that? How do I get to my settings in Chrome? Who here knows? How do I get to my settings in Chrome? Huh? Good. So I go to the 3 bars in the upper right, up there. I'm not sure why. So I go to the 3 bars. Okay. So I go to the 3 bars in the upper right, the 3 parallel bars. I click on settings, then what do I do, Thomas? Or
It says on starter.
okay,
You
on startup, page or specific set of pages. Then what? Okay.
You can use current
So
page.
how do I put in the URL for the Google Calendar? Okay, well I can do that. Or what I can do is I can have my
You can have them open.
Chrome set up with calendar open.
Right.
Okay, so as Dennis said, so there's a choice that says use current pages. So if my calendar is open, and everybody should have calendar and Google Plus open. So if I say use current pages and I click that button in the lower left corner, it will come up with 3 things. Like on here, on my screen, it shows
Anybody?
Business Corp's calendar, Google Plus, Hangouts. I don't want the other 2. If I highlight on Google Plus, a little X pops up, and I can delete it. I can delete that, so that the only thing that pops up is my calendar.
So now you can use current pages.
And then you hit OK.
Okay. And then those will come up. And then you can set them.
So the only one that you should have starting up. So Thomas, the answer is when you do on startup, if you click use current, delete one, and if you put your pointer on them, they'll highlight. There'll be an X on the right side. You can delete the ones that you don't want. So on startup, you should have your calendar open on startup. So that means anytime you launch Chrome, your calendar is going to pop up. What's that going to make it easy for you to do? Check your calendar. It's going to make it easy for you to get in the habit of checking your calendar. And then what happens is, if you go to, if you get on a computer, once you develop the habit of checking your calendar, if you then go onto a computer, you launch Chrome and it doesn't have the calendar, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to say it's somebody else's computer. You're going to say, oh, wait, I got to get to my calendar. Because you're going to be so used to the habit, your brain is going to be developed. So you're always going to do your calendar first. And depending upon your computer, you might want to add Google Plus also on startup. Okay, so that's a way to always have your calendar when you start your computer. Not when you start with your computer, when you launch Chrome. And that's a tool that you should have. Now let's say you're at work, you get there in the morning, your boss comes up behind you, he says, hey Tom, let's check out this thing. And he's standing behind you, you turn your computer on, it comes on, and your desktop has a lot of crazy stuff on it. What does your boss think? Huh? Yeah, not good, right? You have pictures of your kids on your desktop, and you say, this is what I'm doing this weekend, 3 days left to Friday. Not good, okay? Let's say you click on Chrome, though. Your desktop looks like a work desktop. You click on Chrome, and the first thing that pops up is your calendar. What is your boss going to think? Yeah, you've got it together. Because what is going to happen if he goes to anybody else's computer and does the same thing? Yeah, they're not going to have their calendar pop up first. And bosses are afraid to go stand behind somebody today. Now, some bosses. There's the bosses that think that they're very proud that their ancestors were part of the Gestapo, and they want to watch what you're doing, and they always want to check. But most bosses have a position of don't ask, don't tell. You know, if I don't see what you're doing, I don't care what you're doing. They have a belief that you might not be doing something good. So I just don't want to watch you open up your machine. I'm going to stand over here turn on your computer, we're going to do something. When you're ready, let me come over. That's what's in a lot of bosses' minds. If you're the person who does that, the calendar pops up, they're going to be thinking really positive stuff. No one else is going to be doing that in the place. And if the first thing that pops up is your calendar, and your calendar has stuff on it, like my calendar, and it has your day broken down, and it's like this, and the first reaction might be, you know, my boss sees that, he might say, but in your family have OCD. Every minute of the day is on your calendar, right? And I say, well, what if, I say, no, that's just that calendar. Here's my other calendar, right? And then I unhighlight my LV campus calendar. And that one I have. I can have a lot of. Then I ask my boss again by showing him that I earn my money. I'm really busy. From the time business starts to the time business ends, I have my day planned out. So he sees that, I earn my money, but then he sees, oh, okay, yeah. If I look at this other calendar, which is the Chao Chuti Publishing calendar, my personal calendar, all of a sudden it starts getting pretty clean.
You okay, Teresa?
Okay? So,
Okay.
And I did set Google.
okay. Any questions in California so far?
No questions right now, Ed. We're good.
Okay. Now let's talk about the video. So what are some of the 5 things?
Okay, hold on. No, let me show you.
What are the things that he talked about in today's video? Cool things about the calendar.
Weeks at a glance. Changing
Like that.
But the best thing is
depth, weather.
Yeah, so if your boss likes sports, he's going to say, cool, how'd you do that? Then I do my team, right? Okay, so one was sports calendar.
You good?
Okay, sports, holidays. What else? Weather. When does that become important? Huh?
Like it's always important.
Okay. Well, let's say for your boss, for your employer, when does the weather become important?
All the time. You want to know?
Well, weather can be important if you're like have a business. If it rained a lot that day, if business was slow, you can track that.
Or if you say
Why
you're
does the
coming
business care? I'm a telemarketing company. The roads are clear. Everybody can get to work. The buses are running. Why do I care if it's snowing? We're making calls to Florida.
in, you think
Because
that would
your
stop you from
employees
coming
might
to?
not be able to get to work.
Yeah.
No, they do get there. They are at work. Because I'm at work. If I got here, everybody else should be here. Why does the weather become important? What if we have a delivery company? What if we deliver booze, or we deliver flowers, or we deliver something? Does the weather become important if we're a delivery company? Absolutely. You know, anybody here, this little group slice that has their own phone, get any flash flood warnings in the last couple of days on your phone?
3 days ago, the day that it was like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Before I got
Okay.
one.
So if you have a delivery business and there's flash flood warnings, weather becomes important. So the weather may or not become important based upon what type of business it is. So I'm just talking about at work now, not personal. What's another thing from the video today? Agenda. The agenda view. Now, I don't use the agenda view because my habit is to use the weekly view, the view that was on there. People who use the agenda view say that's the only way to look at it. So I would encourage you to look at the agenda view as your default view. Again, because people who I've talked to that have that as their default view, they always say to me, you're crazy. The agenda view is so much better than the regular view because I don't care what's going on all day. I care what my next thing on my agenda is. I go from event to event, and I don't want to have to be bothered with what's in between those things. I just want it to be very clear, and I want to be able to look at it and have space, etc. Okay, what else?
How about quick ad?
Quick ad. Okay, so we talked about that the last couple days. Quick ad is a great tool. And on a smartphone, you can do it by voice. You probably can on your desktop if you have voice activated. Okay, what else?
World clock.
What?
One of the students said there was a world clock.
Okay.
There's labs.
Okay, let's hold on for a second and talk about world clock. Why would world clock be important?
International. I was
If you have a telephone conference,
Yeah, so if you do business with somebody that's in a different time zone, or if you want to do business with people in a different time zone. On my thing, I have China as on my world clock. I don't do business with China, but I just think it's interesting to know what time it is in China and Australia. I have on mine. And so if your boss sees, let's say you do business with a Chinese company, you buy stuff from China, you're not involved in anything having to do with China. Your job doesn't have to do with China. But your boss walks up, he looks at your calendar, and you have the China clock on there. What is your boss going to do? Bad or good?
Good. Know what's going on, where they're at.
Okay, but your boss says, but Rachel, you don't have anything to do with China. Why do you have China on your world clock? What would you say? Okay, so I would say the better word for your boss is because I care. I care about my job. And we do business with China. And I just think it's something you never know. Might come in handy one day. As opposed to I'm interested, that implies it's something about you personally, right? If you say I care, what does that imply? It's more about business, right? And does your boss care very much about things you're interested in or things that you care about for work? Yeah, because you know what? Their fundamental attitude is, I own you while you're here. If I'm paying you a salary, I own you. You do what I tell you to do. If you don't like it, quit. That's the ultimate fundamental thing, no matter how good the employer is, Carmines, someplace like that. Their attitude is, while you're here at work and I'm paying you, you do what I tell you to do. We have this employee handbook that has the rules of how I treat you and what you do. And we have a contract, social contract, unwritten agreement, that you promise you're going to follow these rules, and I promise I'm going to follow these handbook rules, right? And the fundamental thing in the rule is, while you're here, you do what your supervisor tells you to do, right? Anybody ever have a work experience different from that? So a lot of small companies don't have employee handbooks, and it gets to be frustrating because the rules change a lot, okay? But even, you know, when you go to places like the post office or Carmines, they have an employee handbook, and that's a contract. It's an implied contract. It's not a written agreement. It's written, but unless you sign it, it's not done. It's implied that it's signed. You promise you're going to follow these rules, and they promise they're going to follow these rules. And at the end, you know, it basically comes down to we own you during this period of time. Now, if you have an idea on the employer, they might say, tell your supervisor. They might say, we have this suggestion box, which means maybe we don't care, but we want you to think we care. So if you have an idea, don't waste time talking to anybody right now. Go home, write it down on your time, fill it out, put it on a piece of paper, drop it in the box, and if we like the idea, we'll tell you. We don't want you to go tell your supervisor. You know, that's how most employers are. They sugarcoat it. More than that, they're not that blunt, but that's fundamentally what it is. And it's, you know, I don't think anybody goes to a job and they say, okay, ready to come work here? All right, well, let's just get this straight. While you're here for 8 hours, I own your ass, right? No employer is going to say that. They're going to be more politically correct, right? They're going to sugarcoat it more. But that's going to be the bottom line. And so a lot of it is mental stuff, and if the employer feels that you care about the employer, they're more likely to care about you, especially if they're a good employer. If they're not a good employer and you do something nice, they might think you're weak. Okay? And no matter what you do, they're always going to want more. There's no limit. Anybody ever worked in a job like that? You do something nice for them, you do a little bit more than you're supposed to do, and instead of thanking you, the expectation is, okay, well now, since you did that last week, that's the new bar. Now, if you don't do that anymore, you're not really that good. And they don't reward you when you do something.
I've had it where if you actually finish and you get done what they expect you to get done, then they give you more, and then it's hard to keep up.
Right. Okay, so that's a good point. Yeah, so that's a good point. So a fundamental thing of when you have a job or just out there in life on a daily basis is you want to set reasonable expectations and try to exceed them. And if you do that, you know, when Nolan was here, when Phyllis was here the first time when Nolan came in, last summer, were you here when he came in the first time? Okay. So when he came in the first time, remember his message was always give more. Give 110%, expect 85% in return. Always do more was the thing. What you need to do, though, is you need to make sure you set reasonable expectations. So like if you're going to do more, you make it clear, hey, I can get this other stuff done extra. How's that, boss? You want me to get this other stuff done today? So you're setting reasonable expectations and you're exceeding them. You don't want the expectations because you did something good one day. You don't want that now to be the standard level of performance. That needs to be, no, the expectations were back here. I exceeded that. And I should be always recognized as having exceeded expectations. The expectations didn't go up. But you know what? I'm happy to do more if I get more. I can do a lot more. And good employers are always going to look for people who can exceed expectations because they will then promote them. Employers don't hire people who are really good and say we're going to keep them down there in a low-level position because nobody can do that job better. You know, the idea is if this guy can buzz tables like this, he could probably be a really good waiter, or he could be really good at washing dishes, or he could be really good at doing this or that, and this is a more important job, so let's move that person up. And if the guy who replaces him washing dishes isn't as good, at least if he gets the job done, that's okay. Because this guy has more talent, and we'll just see how far he can go. And that is called the Peter Principle, right? Employees tend to get promoted to their level of incompetence. So that's the problem with it, is in our system, people get being promoted until they get to the level where they're not really that good. That's their level of incompetence. Because you're really good at that level, so we're going to promote you. Now you're at this level. What happens when you get to this level in the company? You stay there. They don't drop you back down. Right? That's not our... Anybody ever have that view that that's how business works? You get promoted, 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 and then they start dropping you back down? Somebody that's been in a company for 30 years, is it like, well, I've been at this company for 30 years, I got to this level, now they keep dropping me back down? No, you end up just staying where you were, even though you're crappy at it now. Over time, you get to be not that good, but our system is not that you get demoted. But that's the Peter principle. And that's how they do things in China. Because remember the TED Talks, it's always this meritocracy. You're always going to put the best person in that position. And if you're no longer the best person, well, you're going to get moved down a notch. But you can have a chance to come back next year. It's like high school tennis teams, high school golf teams. How do those work?
Only the best will qualify to play.
Okay, who gets to be number one?
Best player on the team
Okay.
for that week.
For that week, exactly. For that week. And the same thing in golf. The best 9 guys play or the best 6 guys play. There's 9 guys on a team. And the guy who's the best guy is the guy who did best that week. It's a ladder thing. That's how businesses work in other places. So having a calendar helps you become more productive, more effective, etc. Now let's talk about labs. Okay, so what are labs, Dennis?
Labs are like an extension or app that allows you to perform different functions.
Okay, so how do we get to labs?
Okay.
Okay. So in calendar we go to settings.
And there's labs.
And then below where it says calendar settings to the right is a thing that says labs. So let's everybody go there and make sure that our labs are set up. Now, we do this in Gmail too, right? And, I don't remember if Google Voice has a thing called labs, but it has settings. So, now, yes, Dennis?
No, I was asking if anyone needs help.
Okay, so let's start at the top. So the first one should say hide morning and night. You should enable that. Okay, because we don't care about night here. So again, this is for work. This is your work account. This isn't your personal account. This is your work account. Gentle notifications. You like pop-up notifications but hate how they really interrupt? Okay, so you can do gentle notifications. That should be enabled. Because non-gentle notifications really are distracting and annoying. Automatically declining events. Okay, you should enable that. Automatically declining events. That should be your third one. Next, who's my one-on-one with? Okay, so you want to enable that. Yeah, enable. So these first four are enabled. Now you notice underneath the title of the app or the lab thing, it has the person who created that. So that just goes again to show Google has people that this is their job. Year view, that should be enabled. Background image. This should be enabled, but it should be a work background, not a personal background, surfing, I'm skateboarding, metal militia, you know, not that.
Anybody need help?
Okay.
Would it be a work logo?
Yeah, I would say a work logo, pictures of significant things at work that happened, the building, you know, something that says to your employer, I appreciate working here. I care about being here. My job is to make you money or save you money. And I want this constant reminder. Maybe you have a product a new product that you want to, that your employer is trying to promote, or you open a new restaurant, or you have something new, put that there, and your employer is going to say, okay, this person is following what we're doing. Free or busy. I have that disabled, and that says, see which of your friends are free or busy right now. This has a tendency to get into a thing where people start doing social media stuff at work. Okay, now, it could be a very powerful work tool. I need to get something done. Who's free? Who's not busy right now? It could be, but it's one of those things that could be abused, and or your boss could think you're abusing it. Oh, he's not busy. I'll start chatting with them right now. Send little messages back and forth, and we'll talk about what we're going to do after work. I have mine disabled, and it is a powerful tool, but it can be misused, or your boss could think you're misusing it. Yes, Tamika.
I just missed who was my one with?
Yes, enable. Jump to date.
Jump to date.
Jump to date. That should be enabled.
Enable jump to date.
Okay, so you notice on this one, actual time travel is not yet supported. So that means if you have a TARDIS, it's not going to work with that. Okay, but a jump to date is very good because it gets to be a little bit frustrating when you have to scroll through month. Next meeting, no, enable. Next meeting, enable that. And world clock, enable. And then when you get to the bottom, you have to click save.
Save your change.
Enable everything, right?
No.
No. What don't we enable? That's
Okay.
easier, right? Because there's only like one or two.
Well, so the one that should be disabled, free or busy, and background image should be only enabled if you're going to use it for positive stuff. It's another one of those things that's kind of a trap. It'll get you to start putting things in there that your boss is not going to like. And you're going to put it on there saying, I'm just going to have it on there for a day because I'm going to go see this movie tonight. And then you forget, you come to work, and that's when something bad happens.
So jump to date is supposed to be enabled.
The only ones disabled that should absolutely be disabled is free or busy. And then you just have to ask yourself the question of background image. Okay? And then you save it. Now let's go back into settings. And you can go to mobile setup. So anybody that has a phone, put your telephone number in there and send verification code. Your cell phone.
Can you sync multiple calendars to your phone?
Yes. So Joe, what will happen is all of your calendars associated with your Gmail account will be synced. And you can go into your calendars and turn them on or off as you want, or make them visible or not visible as you want, just like in here. It's a little bit more cumbersome, but you can have the color next to the calendar lit or not lit so you can see it or not see it. But it will sync all of the calendars associated with your Gmail account.
Thank you. What if you happen to have multiple Gmail accounts?
Okay, if you have multiple Gmail accounts, then you'll have multiple calendars. They'll have one calendar associated with each account. And inside of that calendar app, you could have multiple calendars there too, but they'll all sync.
Thank you.
So everything can be synced to one phone number. Unless Google has changed it in the last 6 months, where they say now you can only do it with one phone number.
I'll check it and get back to you. Thank you.
Okay?
The last one, for the one for the web, for the.
Only.
Okay?
The last one.
So now let's go. So let's save.
Save the change.
Huh?
We didn't find it.
You did not find it for the mobile.
That's why I'm trying to figure out where
It's
to
in the
exactly.
options when you click on the button. So I overlooked it.
Yes.
Go back and click on settings. It's there with settings. It's scrolled
Phyllis, can you help? Because Phyllis can see what you're doing. Okay, now let's go back and click the settings gear.
Okay.
And when that first box pops up, the third choice from the bottom is offline.
Mm-hmm. Sync remote.
Enable Google Calendar offline. See that on the screen? Okay, click on offline, and then enable your calendar for offline. Anybody not see that?
I don't even know where you're at.
Go to settings.
What part of it?
You click on the gear on settings. Just click on the gear. A box pops up. Fourth thing from the bottom says offline.
What part of it?
The gear. Okay, so you should be on your calendar view. Yeah, enable. Go to your calendar view.
Or Google Calendar should be offline.
Okay, so Robert, what are you doing? Okay, when you have this done, so again, you click on the gear right here in your calendar view. This window pops up. Here it says offline. You click on offline. A window pops up. It says enable. You enable it. Then when you come back, what's going to be next? Well, it's because it's when it's done, it will look like that. Okay.
We should.
Okay, so let's see, it's time. I just want to go into settings one last time,
Okay.
and everybody can do this on their own later, but when in calendar settings like this, click on calendars. So your screen will look like my screen, but there'll be less calendars.
Yeah. Okay.
Show you all of the calendars that you have,
Calendar.
and whether you want to show them, whether you want notifications, what the sharing options are, etc. Okay, so these are all the calendars that I have, probably about 50 calendars. So this is kind of like the way to master control all of your calendars. If you find a calendar isn't showing up on the left side of your screen, go in here and check. And then the last one is the general tab setting in settings. And this you just do one time.
General, next to the right.
And then that's it.
Okay. just planning
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get them.
Well, you go through box by box by box and make sure that the time zone is right and all of that stuff. It should all be correct.
So,
Okay.
So, exactly.
Okay, so everybody, that's the end of the week. Now what you need to do is you need to keep using your calendars, play around with it, go in, experiment with it. You don't have to worry, you're not going to break it, you're not going to break the internet, and you're not going to do anything really bad. But if you don't use this, you will lose it. So you have to do it every day. Okay? Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Joe,
you.
I'm looking forward to having a conversation with you soon.
Sounds good, Ed.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
All right, we'll see you.